at city council.
Was this council on Monday?
Hey, you were there last night, right?
Right.
Yeah. Did I see you last night? Yeah.
Whoa.
You left early.
I expect Zoom meeting at 8.
Ah, okay. I was wondering because you were there, and then I turned around.
Oh, she's here.
Hi, how are you?
What are you doing here with me?
Well, I was still working, and I thought, why not?
Why did I go down here?
I'll take the hike down the hall, and I'll just come like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and that was a great trip to the fire party.
It was a lot of fun.
That was. Now we can enjoy the night.
Now we can go to a nice birthday.
Are you here for us to speak? That's why you're here.
They're also voting on
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can get really weird if there's like appointments. Yeah. Yeah.
So watered down. There's just too many keys. And then it hurts. Yeah, it hurts them, but it also hurts anytime they go to nationals and stuff. Yep. What's up, guys? How's it going?
They're so full of it. They want to be so full.
I'd just like to remind the board that we are about to start. You can chat. I can delay the board meeting for 5 minutes for your stuff. I'd like to welcome everyone to see. Oh, wow, it's working. I'd like to welcome everybody this evening to the April 22nd, 2025 Board of Education meeting, Saline Area Schools. Standing as you are able, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by guest tonight, Michigan Association of School Boards, Mr. Jay Bennett. Yay!
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Goodman, this mic is really tuned up. I got to stand back here for it. I'd like to pass the podium over to Superintendent Lutz. He has a quick recognition to share.
Okay, we're here tonight to honor the Washtenaw United girls hockey team. Goal setting at the start of each season is always a challenging task for any team, especially coming off a championship season. They won the state championship the previous year in Division II, which was super impressive. While the structure of the league changing for the season, playing in Division II playoffs this upcoming year would be a step back. Instead, the team hoped to qualify for the Division I playoffs and win the Group B regular season title. The regular season was highlighted by reclaiming the coveted Tree Town Trophy. They beat local rivals Pioneer 8-0 and Skyline Huron 9-2. Washtenaw United would end up beating rival Pioneer 3 times over the course of the season. Unfortunately, the team would finish 1 point shy of their goal to finish first in Group B after losing a game when illness kept several key players from playing, which is always a struggle. As hoped, Washtenaw United did get placed in Division I for playoffs, but lost in the first round to Bloomfield Birmingham. The loss doesn't overshadow the list of accomplishments from team number 5 this season, and there are many, including the most players ever on the team with 23, most wins in a season with 18, most goals for with 123 goals scored, and fewest goals against with 66, most shutouts with 8. First 20-goal scorer in Daphne Grant. First 40-point player in Lucy Sweeney from Saline. Senior Sydney Clark from Saline finished her career with 100 total points for Washtenaw United. They had 4 second-team All-State players in Daphne Grant, Lucy Sweeney, Sydney Clark, and Abby Schrader. 1 All-State honorable mention in Trista Tracy. 1 player nominated for the state all-freshman team in Ella Cecil. 5 freshmen earning letters, including Lily Mack, Ava Leopold from Saline. The largest graduating class with 9 players, including Lucy Sweeney, Izzy Mack, Kendra Wagner, Juliana Marini, Nora Stevenson, and Sydney Clark from Saline. 2 graduating players continuing their hockey careers at college, including Trista Tracy at Aquinas in Grand Rapids and Sydney Clark going to Montana State in Bozeman. We're really looking forward to continuing the tradition of Washtenaw United next season and building upon what Team 5 accomplished this year. The players, coaches, and the parents would like to thank all the members of the school staff, including the Saline Athletic Department and Ashley Mantha and Jeff Pike, Saline School Board, and Superintendent Lotch for your support and leadership. We wish you the best in retirement. And I'd like to just say a few words about Coach Winters and his assistants. Coach Winters and his assistants have been great champions in growing the program here at Washtenaw United and the sport in general. And thank you for your leadership in growing girls hockey in Saline, the surrounding communities, and across the state. Your efforts are greatly appreciated. So we'd like to give Washtenaw United a hand, and then we'd like to ask you to come up, and if any of you want to say a few words, that's great. If not, we want to take a picture with the board. So great job. Yeah, so why don't we come on up, and if you want to say anything, if any of the girls want to say anything, that's great, and then we want to make sure we're taking a board. Okay, let's all go.
I'll take a picture.
Whoops. We're at the public comment section. A member of the public can address the board for up to 3 minutes or request to be scheduled on the agenda of a future meeting. Please note, students are given priority to speak. First public participation portion is limited to 30 minutes and agenda items. The second public participation portion will be offered at the end for any other comment. Individuals addressing the board should take into consideration rules of common courtesy. The public participation portion can't be used to make personal attacks against a board member, district employee, or student. We have one parent this evening speaking, Susan Easta. And I'm pretty sure she knows the timing drill.
20 minutes? No, kidding.
Ha, nice try.
Okay, let me find it. Sorry. So I am speaking tonight to action item, let me find it. E, recommended motion to approve the changes to policy 5517.02, transgender policy as recommended by the policy committee. I wanted to, I've said a couple of things here regarding this at policy meetings and the last board meeting and via emails. I'm going to start with the policy that later I think you all will clarify, but the policy that we are using right now for Title IX is policy 2266, and that's the non-discrimination on basis of sex in education programs or activities. Throughout our non-discrimination policies, I think we have 15, 16 policies that reference non-discrimination. It says sex, and in parentheses says include sexual orientation or gender identity. So that is consistent. That's what Neola had in 2018 when the board, even before I got on the board in fall 2018, that was adopted from Neola. So that's where they stand. Specifically, this policy, which is Title IX, it includes that. So the Board of Education of Saline School District, does not discriminate on the basis of sex, including sexual orientation or gender identity, in its education programs or activities, and is required by Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972 and its implementing regulations not to discriminate in such a manner. And, it talks about the requirements, but you can read that yourself. The fact that we're pulling out our transgender and non-binary students policy, which is not a Neola policy, it was something we created as a board. Collins and Blaha supported that. Plymouth Canton and Ann Arbor Schools also has that. They don't have the 2021, but they have reference to previous decisions. So it just happened to be at the same time where we adopted the 2021 guidance. So in saying that, I don't think it's fair that we have brought this specific policy up when all of our policies are clear that we do not discriminate against our transgender and non-binary students. And I'm disappointed that this has happened and that you are moving on this so quickly. I do recommend that you keep the Title IX in there because that's kind of what I heard at the table, but it's not reflected. So whenever you all have your discussion, hopefully you can keep that in mind because it still applies. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no response to previous public comment this evening. I do have a quick statement that I'll be making a bit later. Under revisions approval of the agenda, I have two slight changes that Board Secretary Yankee will note. Under number 9, please, would you add under section B, a compensation committee will be giving a brief update. And after that, number C, there will be a brief update from the third-party review of athletics that would be done by myself. Those are the other changes. Any? When? Who? What? Oh, under 9. Under 9A. 9B is the compensation committee. And 9C is going to be a quick update from the third-party review. Any other additions, changes, deletions? No. No. Great. Thank you. Could I have a motion to
Berwick motions to
approve the agenda as revised?
yes. That.
Berwick.
Support Gerby.
Gerby, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Opposed? And we have all 7 tonight, so full pack. Under action items, we have a few this evening. I'd like to entertain a motion to follow the recommendation of Nova Environmental Incorporated in awarding the bid number 1 for the abatement contractor to Martin and Associates Environmental, LLC, for the summer 2025 project at Saline Middle School in the amount of $225,679, as submitted by Rex Clary, Director of Operations.
So moved.
Tim Austin,
Berwick second.
Darcy Berwick. Rex, do you have anything to Brilliant. Oh, you always shimmer up to the podium. Surprise me.
With your approval, the asbestos removal will start on June 9th. I think that's the Monday after, yes, Monday, June 9th, when students are out of the building. Nova has worked with us in the past, over the last 10 years, since I've been here as a facility director. They do an excellent job monitoring, keeping everybody safe. They'll be on site and have a project manager on site that will be measuring and do all the stuff that Nova does, environmental, as the asbestos removal experts.
I have a quick question about that. These days, we're not talking about stuff in the ceilings. We're talking about mastic, the tiles where asbestos is located. Where is the asbestos located?
On this one, it's tiles, floor tile. It is piping in the old bus garage and the old ground shop. And there is some ceiling and some mastic on some acoustical panels on the walls in the band area. So we are taking care of that.
Thanks for that clarification, Darcy.
So obviously students will be out of the building. I'm assuming that you're notifying teachers. Are clubs who have equipment in the middle school going to be told to remove their
So the music wing will move all their stuff out, and then they'll get their work
I guess
done.
is really what I'm asking about.
What's that?
Robotics. Should they get
They
their
won't
stuff
be
out?
affected.
Okay.
And this is only in the new construction area.
Oh.
Where pretty much the band, the special ed remodel space, and then everything down the Innovation Alley hallway, which is the old CTE high school wing. So.
Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, Brad.
Yeah, the only other thing is you mentioned that we're removing like some in the band room that we discovered, right? Is there anywhere else in the district while we have this company available to us where we could realize that and move on it and then maybe not incur that expense later as a separate thing? Does that make sense?
Yes and no, because we have to, after we remove it, we've got to put new flooring or new paint or new wall,
Yeah,
whatever
fair
we're
enough.
remodeling that space.
Yeah, I got you.
And there's pipe fittings that we're not going to mess with now, but we will do in the future. Especially when we get to the locker rooms. If we redo those locker rooms at some point here before the into phase 3, there'll be more in that area as well. And as long as it's not disturbed, it is not friable. Am I saying that right? It's safe until we
Okay.
disturb it.
Thank you for that.
I appreciate that. I always learn new words when I talk to you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Nope, thank you very much. Is the next one related to you? Yes. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the recommendation to purchase 2 model year 2016 IC 77 passenger school buses at a combined cost of $310,840 from Midwest Transit as submitted by Rex Clary. This purchase will be through the Michigan School Business Officials Cooperative Bus Purchase Program.
So I didn't catch that, but it should be 2026.
2026 IC, I didn't say that?
No, you said 2016.
So a newer bus.
Newer, 10 years newer. Yes.
Thanks. Good catch. Good catch.
Michael,
Thanks for being
I'll,
detail-oriented.
I'll make the motion.
Jennifer Stebbin. Anyone supporting Jennifer in this?
Second, Tizities.
Thank you. Anything you want to add to that, aside from the fact that it's not a 10-year-old bus?
It is not a 10-year-old bus. This continues on our replacement plan that we presented in 2016. Right now, we have purchased 26 new buses, and we have 26 route buses. So effectively, we've replaced all of our route buses, what we told the public we would do. Now we're working on our subs. So 10 years as a route bus, 110, 150, 120,000 miles. Then you go to a sub bus for 4 years, and then you get replaced. That was how we laid out the plan. We still have sub buses. Our sub buses are, we have 4 2009, 1 2008, 3 2007, and 2 2006. These are our sub buses that we use for field trips and athletic events. And as we able to hire more drivers, we're able to create more routes and start doing better customer service to the community. But now we're getting shorter on field trip buses, and those field trip buses are still getting older and older. So we will still stay on our replacement plan. Also, to add to that is the delay of our electric buses. We will not see our electric buses until late October, early November. So with that being, I was expecting them to be here in July. And so with these 2 buses, it just gives us that cushion until those 3 buses get here. So
Any questions, comments for Rex?
I have a
Jennifer?
comment.
I would say this is very appropriate on National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. And I look forward to voting yes.
Is that today? We actually have a bus driver in the audience right now. Could you just wave to us? Thank you. And I did thank her for her service. If there are no other questions, I'd like to put it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Oh, none in opposition. Thank you very much. And
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. To entertain a motion to approve the closed minutes of April 8th, 2025 for the purpose to discuss the confidential attorney-client privilege communication pursuant to Section 8H of the Open Meetings Act. Well, don't read it yet because we don't have a motion. Brad? Thank you, Mr. Austin. I appreciate it. By the way, thank you, Secretary Berwick, for being on top of these. We've had quite a few closed sessions this year, and that's other duties as assigned when you took on the job. You didn't know you'd be doing that many. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you very much.
One abstention, Michael.
One abstention.
Because I wasn't present, I shouldn't vote.
Or you could vote in favor because you trust us, but, okay. 6 and,
Traditional process says abstention, so I'll do that.
okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the Round 2 distribution of CARES discretionary funds in the amount of $88,500 as recommended by the CARES Advisory Council and submitted by Brian Puffer, Director of Community Education. The breakdown is as follows. Best Life Art Fairs and Festival from the dementia-friendly Saline Group, $12,000. Liberty Club Transportation for Liberty Club, $20,000. Liberty Theater Upgrade Project, Saline Community Ed, $20,000. Saline Park Improvements, City of Saline Parks Commission, $8,000. Saline Rec Center Enhancements, Saline Parks and Rec, $8,500. And the Saline High School Wrestling Room Mats, Saline High School Wrestling, $20,000. Do I have a motion?
So move, Stebbin.
Okay. Any support? Was that Tim Austin? Oh, Gerby. Thank you. Any, oh, there he is, Mr. Puffer himself. Mr. Puffer, M.A. Questions, comments, queries, quibbles?
I'll just go over a couple comments for round 2.
All right.
First, like we said, our CARES board met in February and March, discussed the 6 grants. And again, I know we have new CARES board members, so just to give, or school board members, excuse me. So our CARES board members consist of Jim Heff, Chris Michalak, Greg Holmberger, Gwen Fredrickson, and Megan Hughes. And then for round 2, we had Darcy joined us as the liaison from the school board, so she attended both our meetings as well. So thank you for attending those meetings. As you just read, we had 6 grants that were totaling $103,077.91. The board approved $88,500. The ones that were partially funded were the dementia-friendly Saline. The board denied the consulting fees that they asked for. The commission one, they did not approve the money for the dog park because they did receive Saline Parks and Rec received a CARES millage a couple of years ago for a dog park at Brecken that hasn't been built yet, but still in the plans. So they removed it from that one. And then they felt the Saline Parks and Rec one for general enhancements was more wear and tear, so they partially funded that one or recommended the funding. If everything is approved tonight, more than likely it will not be a round 3 because round 3 is only available if we have funds left. So the grants that we do have for round 3, which the deadline is this Friday, they would be recommended to apply for the fall for the 25-26 funding. That's it.
So you don't have any funds left after this?
If we approve all this, we'll have about just under 13,000. I think we've had a couple grants so far. So we'll see how much we have. If it's worth our time to go over it and we can fund a project or two, we'll look at it. If not, we'll recommend moving to the 25-26 school year.
Was the fact that the consultant was not funded because it's against the policy to fund a human?
Yeah, technically we usually don't fund salaries or consultant fees for projects.
Oh, questions? None? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Well, thank you very much, Mr. Puffer, and
Thank you.
please thank the CARES Committee. We appreciate the work you do.
Will do, thank you.
Thank you. I entertain a motion, please, to approve the changes to policy 5517.02, transgender policy, which is not quite the correct name, as recommended by the policy committee.
So moved, Gold.
Second, Tizities.
Thank you. Quick note to Betty, could we modify the title of that to the full name of the policy? Thank you. Since it's coming from the policy committee, I'll ask Lauren to entertain any questions that we might have as a board.
I'll just note that it is not the intention of the policy committee to deny protections to our transgender students or any student. We're just trying to stay true to legal advice and what the current Title IX interpretation is. And we did, recognizing that state law and Elliott Larson applies here, did add that reference at the end of the policy.
I'm not hearing any questions. Oh, Tim.
I do too. Go ahead.
We have
Yeah.
questions, one from Mr. Austin and one from,
So
Vice
maybe you can
President Stephen.
elaborate. So my question is more of a concern of cherry picking which policies we take Title IX out of and what we, so that's my biggest concern.
So I searched all the policies that reference Title IX and the specific change to Title IX made under the 2021, and this was one of two policies, I think, that referenced those 2021 changes. Is that?
So I think it's more in reference to, I think we are definitely striking the reference to the 2024 guidance, but the question I think is that we struck out Title IX reference as well. So we had that talk at the last time of whether or not we leave that in. We're definitely adding the Elliott Larson, and there was the conversation about whether or not we remove Title IX specifically from there. Again, it's a sub-policy under 5540. I'm sorry, 5517. I'm amenable either way. I guess my preference is to leave it, but I think that there's some thoughts that it should go either way. Again, you know, an individual's rights aren't determined by whether or not we reference a policy or a law or regulation in a policy.
But just to get back to Tim's question, I did pull up and looked at any time those particular, and it's true, Title IX in general is also referenced, but I did pull up to look if anything else applied, because the reason for the legal advice that it was no longer applicable was based on the 2024 changes. And so that's the reason why that's where that was the focus of the difference between 2024 and previous interpretations.
Jennifer?
So first of all, I was not able to be here due to work for the last board meeting. I did watch the live stream and appreciated the discussion. I also had the chance to read a lot of emails on this particular topic, and so if anyone has anything to help clarify things that I'm thinking, please dig in, because I know that this has been discussed in policy. I don't really see a reason to change this. I appreciate Steve being very quick this afternoon when I had asked for Attorney Starlin's information in the original email, kind of at the root cause of this conversation. It seemed, and I wasn't in the closed session, but it seemed a little bit obtuse as far as, well, this is kind of my advice today, but it might not be tomorrow, et cetera. I do really appreciate in the new version, the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act being referenced at the bottom. Thank you very much. But my general appetite is to leave the red markings on this, to accept the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act add, and to consult with legal for continuity amongst other policies. Former trustee Susan Eastep just mentioned 2266, so I was just reading that again. I felt like this was a soft legal opinion, and I am very hesitant to change something on this or some other policies, considering the perception to students and families. So that's kind of what I'm thinking in reviewing all of this, and I'm very open to any feedback that people might have had from being here on April 8th. I realize we can't discuss things in closed session, but that's where my head's at on this one.
My thinking has been that if federal law no longer applies, and again, I understand the argument that federal law for the protection for gender applies, and sex discrimination, and so you still have rights, whether that potentially having reference to Title IX, which will now be administered by the current interpretation, might actually offer less protection and not more. I understand that's not Trustee Eastep's interpretation. I can't speak about what the legal terms were, but that's really the thought. And, Title IX could be interpreted differently in terms of sex discrimination, depending on who's interpreting it.
Dr. Lodge?
To clarify the timing on the advice from Jennifer Starlin from Troon, that did come back at the beginning of February. She hasn't changed her position on that. I just want to point that out, that even though we're now at the end of April, the recommendation still is to remove that part from this policy. Whether the board wants to do that or not, clearly up to you, but that hasn't changed, even though this guidance is changing on a regular basis. But that particular recommendation hasn't changed.
Brad?
I guess I'm inclined to trust our, the legal experts who are advising us on this and the policy committee that has brought this to us. And then I guess how I see it too is that things are always evolving and changing, right? And so if we were to get different advice, or if 2024 or 2021 guidelines had come back into play, we'll be on top of that. And then we'll revisit that, and we can always then say, okay, now we wish to insert those or any other type of protections that might be offered either due to the law. So I guess that's the reason why I'm inclined to, and I also believe that these individuals will still have rights in our schools, and they'll still be important and special, and they're gonna be, we will still care about them immensely in our classrooms and in our buildings. So that's where I land on.
Thank you, Treasurer Gerby. Are there any other comments to make on this?
I would echo what Treasurer Gerby says. The transgender policy is staying, the protections are staying. It's really a reference that we're changing. That's it, based on legal advice.
Great, well, thank you for that clarification. So
I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, Michael. And I totally appreciate that, and I know how you feel about this, so I don't want to ignore that. I just feel like this is a little quick, and there's a lot going on in the world right now, and to jump on something, I don't know, and not holistically look at everything as one piece, I absolutely know is not an intention by anyone sitting up here. It just causes me pause.
thank you. I think we're ready to, the plane has landed. I think it's time to put it to a vote, please. All in favor of the approval to the changes to the 5517.02, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
Is that 2? Okay, thank you. So it's 5-2. Thank you very much. The nays are Tim and Jennifer. And the pros are all the rest. Thank you. We have a brief scheduled report from Community Education, the annual update. Yay, Mr. Puffer, once again at the podium. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having us back again. Last year it was the first time we presented in a while, so we kind of gave you more of what we've been up to in the last, since COVID pretty much, 10 years or so. And so this year is kind of more of a review of what we've been doing in the last year or so. First, kind of sharing the same slide we shared last year, been updated here, and you can see, I should introduce myself, new board members. My name is Brian Puffer. I've been with the district now for 21 years. I've been director since 2008. Our community department oversees 8 different departments, as you can see at the top of the graphic. I've been very, very lucky to be one of the most committed, hardworking staff during my tenure. As you can see, we've had 19 years of our average service for our full-time staff. Unfortunately, that's going to go down this year. Sue Fend, who is our Pooh Corner director, is retiring this year. She'll be retiring in August, and so she's been with us for over 20 years, so we will miss her. But again, it's just been a great staff, and couldn't have been doing this without them. So I'll just have some brief slides on each department. If you have any questions, please let me know. Like I said, it'll be a brief overview of what we're doing. First is kind of just a reminder of what community education is, and I'm not going to read that word for word, but basically we try to serve the community at every stage of life, offering preschool programs to programs about retirement. So we try to fill in the gaps where we can. Sometimes during the school day where we can't have certain programs, we try to offer them after school day. Like for instance, we have, PE in the summertime. We've offered French classes after school before. So we try to fill in where we can. Some highlights for the 24-25 year. Community Ed, we did a little staff reorganization last year, for this school year. And what we did is we took Sharon Downey, who's my admin assistant, but is also now in charge of after-school recreation. Linda Davis, who's our design specialist, and also now is our enrichment program specialist. And then Ashley Howes, who was our rec and enrichment program specialist, now oversees all youth and middle school sport programs. And I'll elaborate on that a little bit later. We implemented 43 new programs this year, from bridge classes to summer booster classes to new sports camps. Another thing that we're very proud of is that Sharon Downey helped us spearhead the implementation of our facility use guide. Many districts don't post their rental rates on their websites. It's hard to find those. I know that because when we go to do our rental rates increases, we look for them. Some of them are 10 years old. And so we do post ours every year. We update them every year. But what we also have now is a 20-page facility use guide. It covers everything from our facilities, our rules, our AED locations, our rates, our building supervisors. So it's a very comprehensive guide. It's about 20 pages long. So it's listed right on our facility page, right underneath our rates. It's a doc that we're always updating. We're very proud of it. So that was one of our big initiatives this year. We had an expansion of our bridge programs. So for those who don't know what those our bridge programs are, it's for students that are going to Heritage, students that are going to the middle school. They go to a 3 to 4 day class that are taught by the teachers at that school. And then just to get to know the building, get to know who their schoolmates are going to be. And last year we increased that to 9th grade. We had a Bridge 9 last year, which we had, I think, 35 incoming freshmen attend. So we were excited about that. We were finally able to reopen Heritage Before and After Care full time. It was the first time since COVID we've been able to open that. Staffing was always the main reason for that. And so we're not fully staffed yet, but we're getting there. But we've been able to keep that open all year. And I believe we've only had to close once. And that's a lot of credit to Lee Severio, who's our director, and his staff. They've done a great job running that program. We also received the Community Ed Award for Girl Scouts Heart of Michigan Award for our continued support of their program, providing facilities, and just trying to be a great partner. So we just found that out a couple weeks ago. And then we'll be celebrating our 40th year of Safety Town this year. So Safety Town will be back again. It'll be back here at Liberty School. Janet Marion, who's a para in the district, has done a great job with that program. So we'll have some special things for the program this summer regarding that. Next is our aquatics. Sandy Stafford, who's been the aquatics specialist there since the building opened. As you can see, we have a couple things go over there. Our SST swim team continues to grow. We had a record enrollment this fall. We serve our mini ray kids from 8 and under all the way up to the 15-18 bracket. Our Saline pool is very sought after facility, many rentals. We host the boys and girls SEC meet competitions almost on a yearly basis, it seems. One thing people might not know is what the pool is used for. It's open pretty much 6 in the morning until almost 9, 10 at night, depending on what's going on. We have obviously PE classes, special ed classes, young adult programs, cardboard box races. You can see robotics have been in there. And so to keep that in mind, that's all going on. And we always have to have a CE person in that room when it's going on, lifeguarding. So Sandy and her staff do a great job with that facility, but it's more than just swimming in there, as you can see. Another thing that we added this last year is a adaptive swim lesson program, and we actually run that in conjunction with Saline Parks and Rec, and we run that. It's a community ed class, but we do run it at the rec center. We're pretty proud of that program, so that was just added within the last year. And Jessica Yakic, who's a teacher over at Heritage, is the one that runs that program. Another thing, too, is we mentioned we have about 4 to 5 weekends a year that we have available to rent that facility out, and we do that. Obviously, for those meets, we've had water polo teams from USC. We had Eastern swim team here to use the pool, so we're a sought-after facility, but it's because of Sandy and what they do and keep that place up and running. Our next one, before and after care, like I just mentioned. Staffing can be our challenge with the program, but like I said, Lee has been doing a great job. We're operating out of Heritage, Woodland Meadows, Pleasant Ridge, and Harvest. I know we do fill up fast, and that's the case. We try to do our best. We staff it to the best of our capability. Currently, we have 387 kids registered in school this year, and right now we're on pace for between 90 and 100 for summer camp. So we're looking forward to that. Our summer camp staff is summer camp is staffed by our before and after care staff and our college returning students. This is a good tool for recruiting teachers. We've had multiple teachers start with our before and after care program, then have student taught here, and have actually now teaching in the classroom. So it's always a good avenue to get into the school district. I asked all my employees to kind of give me a highlight of something from their department, and Lee actually sent me this. A parent just sent that. It's very long, but if you can read it, it's just kind of why we do what we do there, and just to have a parent kind of single us out like that and just kind of tell us how happy they were with the program, how much we helped them through difficult times, including the pandemic. It really, it's, as you know, getting comments, you don't get as many of those as you do complaints sometimes. So it was kind of nice to see that. Liberty Club, there's somebody here from Liberty Club. Hey, Zach? Yep. All right. You know that. That's right. We continue to provide continuous learning, life skill development, social interaction for our participants, ages 26 to 59. We currently have 29 full-time participants in the program. And kind of some highlights we did this year with our program was we worked with 21 local organizations. As you can see there, delivered 500 Meals on Wheels, purchased packet, delivered over 800 paper pantry items, donated over 300 items to social service. You may not know that they wash and fold laundry for the preschool that's in the building, and they've also raked 13 Saline residence yards for a Rake a Difference. And as you can see, we have another comment there from a participant's parent. And again, it's why we have these programs and why we do this. And it's important to remember to know too that this is one of the few programs in Southeast Michigan that operate, and one of the very few that operate on a community-based programs and activities. So we're very proud to have Liberty Club. Next would be our facilities. This past year, as you can see, 33,512 facility requests were processed. That's everything that goes on in the district at all the buildings during the school day, evening, weekends. I mentioned that we implemented the facility use reference guide. Our future planning for the middle school sports complex. Obviously, you've seen that the construction's already taken place out there. We're looking forward to that coming online. We've hosted a wide range of events in the last year. We've had U of M wheelchair rugby. We had AAU state championships for girls basketball, boys basketball, taekwondo, as we've had in the district as well. It's really a great way to spotlight our district, but it also leads to partnerships with other groups. U of M Adaptive Sports, we're talking to about offering programs with them. Peak Cycling, if you've seen them out before, they've always at the high school or at Harvest during the summer, and that's always been a rental, but starting this summer, they're going to be part of community education. So we've been working with John Waterman over there, so we're very excited about that. And then, like I say, our reputation for our facilities is just good customer service. And I asked Jeff Berman, if you guys know Jeff, I'm sure you have, you've seen him around before. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a basketball tournament here at the high school, Liberty, and the middle school, and I got a call about 7:15 in the morning saying they were short one court at Lincoln because the tournament was taking place at Lincoln, Chelsea, and Saline. Is there any way we could help them? And then within 10 minutes, I was able to talk to Jeff Berman. Then I talked to Willard, our custodian here at Liberty, and within 10-15 minutes, we had the court set up. We had it ready for them. We had staff of the custodial service, and they were able to go all day and run their tournament. And that wouldn't have happened without, obviously, community ed, but buildings and grounds. Everybody works well with us. We work well with them. So a lot of districts wouldn't be able to pull that off. So that's something that we're pretty proud of. Next would be our recreation and enrichment. As I said, the bridge program was expanded, as I said earlier. So now we're in 4th, 6th, and bridge 9. 2024, we had 252 students participate in the program. Currently, we have 215 students already registered for this year. Our bridge 6 class actually filled already with 20 kids in a wait list, and we have never filled before this early. And so we're excited about that. We're working with a couple of our instructors who've been there since the inception to add more spots so we can have more kids into the program. Our youth basketball registrations, 578 this year. That was a record. It's kindergarten through 8th grade. That's a lot of kids. Ashley, who oversees that and has to plan all the practices and all the gyms, is quite the chore. But yeah, we had 506 of them were K through 8, and then our CE intramural league here for the high school kids, we had 72 in there. So we had a record number of kids, which was great. We creation of summer boosters program. So it's kind of those programs that we created last year with Kara Davis and Caroline Stout to address the summer slide. It's for classes from kindergarten through 6th grade. We had those run, and they're running again this summer. Our after-school volleyball was a big hit this year. We had 109 participants, so it's right after school as well. And another thing that's really been popular this year is our Chess Lions program. Grew from 40 to 113 students in 1 year. So that demonstrates a strong interest and engagement from our students across all chess playing levels. Next one is our middle school sports, and I kind of touched on this a little earlier. Last year, in collaboration with the athletic department and community ed, we agreed that we would have Ashley House be our main point of our middle school sports programs. And this was to help to streamline the communication and support for our student athletes and our families. As you may not know, we have multiple middle school sports programs, which we're proud of. We have a lot, probably more than any district around. Some of those are community ed based. Some of those are funded by the general fund, but sometimes it can be confusing for families. Who do I contact for this program? Who do I contact for this one? So this year's been our first trial year, and so far it's been great. Ashley's the main contact for House is the main contact for all the middle school sports. She meets with Jeff Pike and Ashley Manta. We have to do something about the Ashleys. We're still working on that, which one we're talking about. But they do a good job. It's been going pretty good this year. And again, Sharon Downey and Linda Davis have taken on Ashley's role. So it's kind of, we reorged the department a little bit, but just to streamline it, and so far so good. Again, this doesn't just help with the parents, but ensuring logistics regarding officials, facilities, all of that stuff. And this is also kind of done in mind knowing that we're having a brand new middle school complex come out here, which will add more programs and whatnot. So we're looking down the line to see how we can streamline everything and make it easier for everybody involved. And as you can see here, we had 20 plus middle school programs through community ed and the middle school, serving approximately about 500 students. All right, only 2 more left. Cultural arts and music. Thanks, Ben. We had 32 outside organizations rent our auditoriums over the past year. At least one auditorium is rented every weekend of the year in the district. So we have churches that rent our auditoriums, but that's every year, including during the holidays. So we always have somebody here renting our spaces. 170 students from 1st through 8th grade participated in junior theater, Broadway boot camp, and youth theater guild. And as you can see, this year was our 20th anniversary of junior theater. And there's a famous dog up there on there, Hank at Liberty. He was one of our guest appearances at our Annie for our junior theater program. And so we also like to mention that we have 180 students that are participating in Swarma Voices, which is our elementary choir, our middle school jazz band, middle school fiddle club, and new this year we have Saline High School Drumline Academy. So we were excited about that too. And then our summer orchestra and summer band programs every year that we have in the district, we get between 30 and 40 kids for each program. And they always, the summer band always sings the national anthem at the Tigers game. You can see the picture down there. And then our orchestra program sings at the Mud Hens game. We like to recognize also Janet Pinto has been leading our summer program for 34 years. So to have that kind of stability has been great in that program. Our last one we want to talk about is Pooh Corner. Like I mentioned, Sue Fenn will be moving on in August. But still, we've had some great things to share this year. We had 72 enrolled in our preschool in our GSR pre-program, and we will be adding another GSR pre-program in the fall. So we'll be taking 32 students in the fall. Some highlights from this year is we ran a rodeo for parents and children to beat the blues. You can see the bag toss and chicken dance we had with them. We also visited the library as part of This Is My Community Projects experience, the new library. And one thing Sue Fenn really wanted me to show with you guys, she gave me a long explanation. I told her I was going to murder that if I tried to explain to you guys what it meant, what it is. But as you can see up there on the bottom right there, it's called scaffolding writing. And basically, the first one was taken to the left was taken in January, and the other one was taken in April. And so basically, the first one, the kids, we tell them that they want to go play in the sandbox. So they just say, draw what you want to draw right there. And this one right here to the left is them drawing what they're going to play in the sandbox. Then the second one, which was in April, to kind of explain it, it's like teaching a kid to ride a bike. You kind of help them out, then you let them go. So as they did that 4 months later, that was the same kid's handwriting in a picture, trying to draw a picture of going playing in a sandbox. So you can see he's kind of on an animal in a sandbox, and there's more of a picture there. So you can kind of see as the months go on, the progression the kids learn how to draw. So that's kind of neat. And the last one, I think that's it. What I really want to say is just a thank you. I work with a lot of different community ed departments in different districts. I'm the state chair for McKay's Community Ed Committee, and I'm also the chair for Beware, which is our local community ed, Saline Parks and Recreation directors. And we meet once a month in both groups, and there's a lot of horror stories and stuff like that about what they can't do this, they can't do that. And we're very lucky in Saline Community Ed because we are able to do a lot of things. But the only reason we're unable to do a lot of things is the support of the board from you guys. We appreciate that. The buildings and grounds, Cody and Rex who are here, they're great. We could not do half the things we want to do if it wasn't for the support of them and their staff, and obviously the principals, the teachers, the clerks. We're in everybody's, what I always tell our staff is, we're always in everybody's business because we're in all the buildings. We're always somewhere. We're doing something, but we try to stay positive. And obviously the Saline community and all the parents and everybody that take our program. So we wouldn't be able to do what we do if it wasn't for them. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Puffer. Are there any questions for? I do have a couple, but go ahead, Vice President Stebbin.
That has to be the happiest presentation I've seen in a while. I was like smiling. I made a couple of notes with a lot of exclamation points, so I can't comment on everything, but what an incredible tenured team. Like, impressed, super impressed. That basketball situation, like, I've lived that. It's chaos. I can't imagine. 578, good job. 40 years of Safety Town.
Yeah.
And the retirement coming up for like so much, right? I also wanted to tell you that I flew home with Brian and Techie from U of M Adaptive Sports.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And he, like, we just got talking in the gate area when we were in Orlando about a week ago. He was down there for nationals with the adaptive wheelchair tennis team. And so we got talking, a little Go Blue, and he told me about all of this.
Oh,
and
cool.
he spoke with a lot of pride about how impressed he was with community education and what we're doing in the district
Oh, good.
with
Thank you.
adaptive sports and all of the programming. So good
Thank
job.
you. Yes, thank you.
And then I would be remiss if I wouldn't say one thing about one of the people that was mentioned on here. Sandy Stafford has to be, I have 2 years till graduation. I'm already getting, I feel like Jenny, like getting almost to that point where you have kids leaving. She will be one of our best memories of this school district. The impact that she has on students, the positive environment that she provides, the leadership, the tough love. I am eternally grateful to her. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Pass the turn.
Go ahead, Brad.
So I want to echo that. And, you know, one of the things that I really like about our relationship with Community Ed is it's under the umbrella of the school district, right? We're unique in the regard that we do that, right? And so that we work hand in hand with one another. And so I appreciate that partnership. I appreciate the creativity and the mechanisms through which you evaluate things, all of that, right? Like, that's very much in line with what you guys do. It very much helps with our facilities improvement and helps with our management, custodials, all those things. So thank you for being so diligent. So I have a couple of things. So number one, you got me wondering about year-over-year data with regards to before and after care enrollment and the summer enrollment. Has that been a pretty consistent number over the years?
Yeah, it's since COVID, it's like everywhere, like it fills up quickly, unfortunately, because we could probably take 150, 200 people for summer if we wanted to, but it gets to a point where you can't control it. And
So we're capped by
we're capped
staffing.
for the most part. Yeah, for summer, I would say it's just spacing and staffing and just be able to run a quality program because we get 150 kids, but
Right.
we did that a long time ago here where we took as many as we could and we had 140 and the money was good, don't get me wrong, but it was chaotic. And so, yeah, we're pretty much full at the schools for what we can staff. 3 gets us, it's 1 to 18 is the ratio.
Yeah.
So if we can get 3 staff, and we try to do our best, like we look at what others pay in the county, and we try to stay right with it, if not the top one. But it's a funky schedule, you know, and
Yeah.
try to get somebody in there. And so, like I said, I can't say enough about Lee and his staff and what they do. But the numbers have been steadily, inclined, just going up since COVID, to be honest with you.
Well, and we offer a great program, so people want to be part of it. And I can remember, like, now that you're making me think about it, in the summertime, even like the innovativeness that you guys have had to have with bond projects and moving around and some of that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that you're going to be doing that for the next few years. And thank you ahead of time for some of those things. So.
Yeah.
The last thing I have is a wonderment about an area of opportunity. One of the things that, we're losing an incredibly awesome Pooh Corner director. But then there's some plans for universal pre-K and some of those kinds of things. I'm wondering, are we utilizing, when we think about where we want that position to go next?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We are. We're actually in the process of working on the interviews for that. We do have a plan. We've been meeting for what we're looking at to address that coming up in the future for universal PK. So yes, we've definitely been in talks with that, working with Kara Davis and Sue Fenn, who's on her way out, but has been heavily involved because we're adding that second GSRP room for the fall. So yes, that's on our mind, and for the future planning, we want to be able to accommodate that. So trying to streamline everybody together with the kindergarten teachers, us, making sure we're all on the same page, ECSC. So definitely.
Right, and as that becomes a bigger priority
Yep.
of our governor, we need to think about that staffing space where we're going to put people, all of it. So,
100%.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any others? I just want to say thank you very, very much. You covered a couple of my questions. I did want to say, one day I was at home and I heard the strange noise out front. It was in the fall. My next door neighbor had the Rake a Difference folks over, and they said, you got a lot of leaves on your lawn. Yeah, shall we? That's when I learned about Rake a Difference. It was pretty awesome.
That's great.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Puffer, and do come back again next year.
All right, we'll do. All right, thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 discussion items. I just want to go again, the policy committee, followed by compensation committee, followed by a quick thing from the third-party review. And then, Tommy, if you have anything you want to add at the end of those 3 presentations, that's great. And then we will release you because, you don't need to be here for the next part. I appreciate that. And I notified him earlier about this. Lauren Gold.
Okay, I'd like to start by mentioning something that came up at the last meeting regarding policy 2264, which we had passed in December. Shortly after that passage, as our excellent administrative professional was getting it ready, it was rescinded by Neola. And so it was no longer available. We received, and I think you all should have in your email, the documentation of that. And so their advice to us is that it does need to be formally rescinded. So I'm wondering if someone would like to make a motion to rescind.
What was the number again? 2264?
2264.
I would like to formally rescind. I would like to make a motion to formally rescind policy 2264. It's not posted. It's not in the system. No, that's why we're rescinding it, because before it even got posted, it was.
It doesn't exist because it was, yeah, it doesn't exist. But we do have, there's an email about it on April 11th. So, I mean, we can't have, if we want something like that, we'd have to rewrite an entire, because we can't have the policy.
Well, before we have too much of a discussion on it, do we have anyone else who's willing to support?
I'll second.
Is that Tim? Thank you. So are there any other things you want to add about that before we move on? I'll let you call it. All in favor, please, of rescinding formally? Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I with Brad, I would abstain if we have to vote. I don't know what it.
I was worried about this because if we don't rescind it, it was a policy that basically doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere.
Right, but what I was hearing is that we had voted it into policy in December, so we would need an action. Hear what you're saying, that it doesn't exist in our online policy.
It doesn't exist, yes.
I mean, it should exist in previous minutes, right?
It does, I kind of just
Yeah.
kind of found some.
Yep.
But I would like to, I guess I'd be comfortable with that maybe as a future more as a future action item, and I probably might be in favor of it, but I just want to, I don't like the surprise of it, quite frankly.
Lauren, Dr. Gold, are you okay with tabling this
Yeah,
until the next meeting?
you just asked that we brought it up as like a policy. Yeah.
Or we could just stick with the vote of 5-2. I
Yeah.
assume theirs is a nay, Vice President Stebbin?
I guess I'll be a nay for.
I just don't feel comfortable voting on something that I'm not reading.
Right, 5-2 then, thank you.
Okay. Okay, and then getting to tonight, so we met just before this meeting. We discussed policy 5330.01 again, which is epinephrine auto injectors, which is being edited to, again, reflect the fact that now there are nasal delivery systems. So this will put us ahead of state law, but that's how awesome our school nurse is, that she was on top of it, Karen Harvey, before the state has changed the language in the law. But I can testify that she is right in line with new medical developments. There is now a nasal epinephrine for kids with food allergies. So in looking at this policy with her, there were a few things about the policy that I thought could be made a little bit more clear beyond just that edit. And so we in the policy committee are working with her in conjunction, and we will likely bring that to you at a later date. We're still working on the wording. There are two policies essentially looking at artificial intelligence, policy 7540.09 and policy 5500. And we have some questions for Neola regarding those policies and some redundance, but stay tuned. And then policy 5540, interrogation of students. You'd recall that we talked about this last time. I don't love the title of the policy, but interrogation. And I don't, but it covers both instances, the best practices when Child Protective Services come to interview a student, and also best practices when law enforcement needs to interview students, hopefully rarely here at school. And so we will be bringing that for a second reading and discussion to an upcoming meeting. And then there was also some recommendations that I think were shared with the entirety of the board from the DEIC about how we can involve, how we can best involve seeking input to policy for marginalized students, which are appreciated, and we had a discussion about that. That's it for policy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gould. A quick update from the Compensation Committee, please.
Yep. So tonight, Brad, Jason, Carol Diglio, and I met before the board meeting. We are really excited about where we are in the process. We reviewed our contract and are finalizing and making sure we are both competitive and we are benchmarking against other districts. We discussed the possible length of the contract and possible extensions tied to the MASB evaluation tool. We discussed the importance of professional development and educational stipends, and we will continue to model lifelong learning, hopefully, balanced with district work and application of theories on the job. We discussed other contract facets around language with roles and responsibilities, contract extras to make things more attractive to applicants, and not time binding us. So some of the contracts that we looked at had a specific month in which you had to complete the superintendent evaluation, just making sure we're legally in compliance with the Michigan Department of Education, but not saying it has to be in December, and kind of timing us in such a way because we know certain things come up. And then talked with Carol a little bit about insurance and termination information, just making sure we were up to date on that. That's primarily governed by Human Resources and by legal. And yeah, hopefully we'll have something for everybody very soon, as well as applicants, and we're looking forward to the upcoming discussion.
Thank you very much, Vice President Stebbin. I'd like to make a quick update on the third-party review of the Saline Area Schools Athletic Program. Scott Robertson of 53 Consulting, 53 Consulting, has visited the district twice, and tomorrow, April 23rd, he and his partner will be meeting with randomly selected student athletes during Hornet time. He's also reached out to the parents of student athletes, and he'll meet with them later in the evening tomorrow. I'd like to remind the community that this is not an investigation, as it has been sometimes referred to. This is a review generally focusing on climate and culture, training on MHSAA compliance, Title IX compliance, leadership development, recruiting and hiring athletic department staff and coaching staff, as well as a verification of student-athlete residency. Toward this goal, Mr. Robertson has been gathering a great deal of data through interviews and through an online sports climate questionnaire of both coaches and student athletes. And these questionnaires have been in the field for the last 2 weeks. Mr. Robertson shared with me that there have been excellent response rates, and he told me the response rates, and I was pretty impressed as a researcher at the university. This is pretty darn good. The final goal of May 17th final report still seems reasonable, and that is the end of my report. I will pass this over to Tommy Almond if you have anything to add or say, or from the student perspective. You have nothing from the students? Are they all exhausted and ready for the summer? Oh, is it? Thank you. And when does that happen, sir? About 2 weeks. 2 weeks? All right. Well, are you in any AP courses this year? All right. Well, I wish you and all your fellow classmates all the best. Good luck. Okay. I'd like to welcome Mr. Jay Bennett, MASB Assistant Director, Executive Search Services, who is going to walk us through one of the more interesting jobs we have to do as board members. Interesting is a good word for it?
Interesting is fantastic.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. Good to see you all. So I just handed you all a packet of good stuff. Interview questions, which we'll get to in a minute, so you can set those aside. A copy of the presentation that I'm about to give. And then I just want to briefly go over 2 homework assignments that I've given you. One is a bias awareness guide that was developed by the Oregon School Boards Association. I think it's a fantastic resource to take a look at and to read over as we start this process of the interviewing. The other one is some tips on behavior-based interviewing, and it talks specifically about the STAR system, and that is something that we employ in our interviews, and your interview guide will be laid out in such a way that once you read the STAR process, you'll see how you can use the interview guide to keep your notes and keep track of your thoughts on the candidates. So those are for you to look over in your own abundance of free time, which I know you all are wallowing in, much like myself. All right, so let's talk a little bit about interview prep, because we will be conducting our first round interviews next week. And then once we complete that conversation, then we'll get into our selection of candidates for tonight. So before I proceed into interview prep, any questions I can address from you right off the top? We good? Okay. Next slide, please. All right, so remembering that the purpose of the interview is to learn more about the candidates, okay? We want to see how they conduct themselves in a public meeting. We have to remember that we're going to come across a couple different types during these interviews. We'll come across skilled interviewers. We'll come across people that have been in any number of interviews over the course of their career, possibly even superintendent interviews for other opportunities that they've applied for, and so they will be well practiced and they'll be well prepared. We will also come across some individuals that have never been, or it's been a very long time since they've been in an interview. We also have to remember that interviewing for the superintendency is much different than interviewing for just about any other job in education. In that, in those other jobs in education, yes, you may interview in front of several people, but it's usually behind closed doors somewhere, okay? And it's just those 6 or 7 or 5 or however many people on the committee. It's not the committee plus however many people we have back here in the audience, plus video cameras that are recording everything that we're doing. So there's a little bit of a higher stake to this interview process than we see in a lot of the interviews that we're accustomed to in education. All that is to say that while the interviews are an important part of this process, they're actually the least predictive part as to whether or not that person sitting in front of us is going to be an effective superintendent. The most predictive part as to whether they're going to be an effective superintendent for us here in Saline is evidence of what they've done in the past. If they've been successful in their previous employment situations, assistant superintendent, deputy superintendent, possibly superintendent, teacher, whatever it is, if they've been successful previously, then there's a high likelihood that they'll be successful here in Saline as our next superintendent, okay? So we want to balance this. If we are absolutely wowed during the interview process, that's great, but don't let that overshadow and don't let that put us in a place of complacency where we don't continue to look through their application materials and do the reference checks and make those phone calls and all of that. Conversely, if they absolutely tank or just don't really have a very good interview, or we just don't feel there's just something not there, if everything else is telling us that they should be a fantastic candidate, then let's not put so much weight on the interview that we discount somebody who could be a fantastic superintendent who, for whatever reason, just didn't interview well, for any number of reasons. Maybe that's just not a good day for them, right? Whatever it is. So again, just trying to find that sweet spot between the materials that we have in front of us, the things that we know about that candidate, and the interview. Okay, next slide. So beyond the first interview, we've already talked about reviewing their previous experience, the thorough reference and fact checking, remembering that this is not one bite at the apple, that we will have another bite. We will have a second round of interviews. So if we hear some things in the first round, we're kind of like, okay, all right, I want to hear more about that. If we put this person forward, then we can make note of that. And then when we have that person here for our second round interview, we can dig a little deeper. First round interviews, as we've talked about, very structured. 55 minutes, they're all going to get the same questions, and we're going to keep it very tight. Second round interviews, then we can dig a little deeper. We can have follow-up questions. We can ask more in-depth questions. We can give them an opportunity for longer answers. We're not going to be on as tight of a time crunch in that second round. That's an opportunity for us to get to know them even a little bit better to help us then decide, okay, who do we want to bring back in for negotiations, okay? So before I get too far ahead in the presentation here, I have a question to pose to all of you. It has become my practice as of late to provide first round candidates with their questions ahead of time. They get them about 24 hours ahead of time. They get an email with the questions 24 hours before their interview. So we're interviewing next week on Tuesday, Wednesday? Is that right? So on Monday around 4 o'clock, the Tuesday night applicants would get the interview questions. On 4 o'clock on Tuesday, the Wednesday night applicants would get their interview questions. They have them for 24 hours ahead. What that allows is it allows them to come in with their best examples. Okay? So when we ask them a question about the time that they've had to make a tough budget decision, instead of hemming and hawing and trying to figure out which example they want to give you, they've got their best example in mind. The other thing, it takes out of play the advantage or disadvantage to being the first night or the second night, because there's always the potential that the second night interviewees have watched those interviews the first night and they get to see the questions ahead of time. So that it eliminates that because everyone's getting the questions ahead of time, so there's no advantage to being able to see how those interviews go. It helps speed up the process because, again, like I was saying, instead of hemming and hawing, they have that best example, and so they can give thoughtful answers to you as a board, but then we can also make sure that they get to all the questions that you want to ask, and so it helps us economize those interviews as well. So unless you have any great issue with that, I'd like to propose that we do present them the questions ahead of time. Any issues or questions about that process? Yeah.
I have one small comment. So no issues with giving them, and I like how you're making sure it's fair for night one and night two, as long as we're not hearing a scripted response, that it's a conversational, because
Yes.
I've seen that happen, and
Yes.
it's so awkward.
You're absolutely correct. In fact, I was just talking with some applicants today for another search, reminding them that I want them to prepare, but not to over-prepare, and that if they type up their answers and then read them verbatim during the interview, that is not going to go well. So don't do that. Make some notes. Come with your best examples. One of the best interviews I've ever seen was someone that had bullet points for each of the questions. They had their thoughts down there. They told a story, and they just seamlessly weaved those bullet points into their story as they told it, and they answered the question completely and had their best examples, and it was fantastic. In that same pool was another applicant that did exactly that, had typed answers, read them. It was one of the most robotic and painful interviews I've ever seen. So to your point, absolutely, I have that conversation with them. The advantage to getting the answers ahead of the questions ahead of time is they can come up with their best examples. The disadvantage is that they can have that potential to come in over prepared, and so we again just try to find that that sweet spot.
I'm perfectly cool with that. I'm wondering, is that the same process that you would do on a second round? Just
No,
because
it is not.
I like some amount of
Exactly.
think on your feet, if you will.
To some extent, yes. And I push back just a little bit on you there only because, for the most part, superintendents have an opportunity to think, organize their thoughts, present to you information. Very rarely do we have these think on our feet kind of things. And those things where we do have to think on our feet are generally the kinds of things that we really can't get at in an interview. So we can ask them a question about, okay, a bomb threat comes in, what do you do? Well, no one knows. I mean, they have procedures, they have policies to follow, but until they're actually in it, no one knows how they're going to react in that kind of situation. So we could ask a question like that in an interview, but they can pretty much say whatever they want because, well, I'm going to follow the procedures that we have in front of us. Well, I mean, that, of course, that's what you're supposed to do. So I understand where you're coming from. The second round, yes, we will not have them ahead of time. The second round is going to allow us to dig a little deeper. And even if we did give them the questions ahead of time for the second round, remember during the second round, you have an opportunity to ask follow-up questions. So you can always ask questions above and beyond what we have in the second round. But usually, logistically, it doesn't usually work for us to get them the second round questions ahead of time just because we're pretty much pushing the envelope of turnover between the time that we end our first round interviews, get questions together, and then start our second round interview. So, okay? All right. Remembering interviewing is the only part of the selection process. Important not to base your selection exclusively on the interview. Okay, next round. All right. Review the interview guide in advance. So when I put together the interview guide, at the top of every question will be your name, if you're responsible for that particular question. So read through your questions. Yes, unfortunately, you'll be reading the same question for both nights of interviews. And so, or the same, probably, it'll be about 2 questions for each of you. Board president may have 3. Vice president may have 3. I usually have the board president start us off, and then vice president, and then secretary, and then treasurer, and then trustee, and then trustee, and then trustee, and then we flip them again. And so we're looking at right around about 14 questions plus an opener and a closer, which we'll get at in a few minutes. And so we're looking at about 16 questions in 55 minutes, okay? So just go through your questions, make sure that you understand everything that's in your question and that you've read it so that you're ready to ask it. Give some thought as to what you'll be looking for in the answers to these questions, and then, like I said, know and practice the questions that you'll be asking. Next slide.
Quick question though, if
Yeah.
they do start to dribble over the time allotment, or we're not gonna time them though, correct?
For first round, we will. First round's 55 minutes.
If they go over an allotted time, we're just gonna, they're just,
At
it's
55
on
minutes,
them.
you're cutting it off. You're cutting them off.
We are gonna cut them off.
You're going to cut them off. We're going to keep them all to 55 minutes.
Oh, no,
no
I
matter
don't-
how many questions.
I mean, let's say question number 3, they go on for 7, 8, 9
No,
minutes.
they'll take as long. They're going to. The other nice thing about having the questions ahead of time is that they can then help economize their time, because they'll know, okay, I've got 16 questions here. I've got 55 minutes to get through them. And so if we have it in this room, if we have the interviewee down here at this end of the table, kind of slanted just a little bit so that they can see you, but then also so that people can see them. There is a clock right there, so they'll be able to see the clock from where they're sitting. They can have their phone in front of them to keep track of time. I will put myself in a position probably right in that chair right there, and I will stand up and I'm going to give them the high five right here, let them know they got 5 minutes left. And that's their indication to start getting it tied up, because as soon as we get to 0, I'm going to get your eye contact and let you know, because we want to keep them at 55. Some will go over or they'll push right up to it. Some will leave with 20 minutes on the table. It's going to be kind of all over the map. But they do have the questions ahead of time. They know it's 55 minutes. They know that we're going to keep them, to that time. And we want to do that again so that we're playing at a level playing field for all the candidates.
Thank you, and I apologize if that was slide number 12.
Yeah,
that you just
no,
covered.
you're good.
Thank you.
You're good. All right, so as we're working through these interviews, again, remember that sometimes when they're answering the questions, they may be telling you what they think you want to hear. And so I want you to be aware of that and listen for that. And if you hear some of that, make note of it. And then if they are someone that is available for us in the second round, we can dig into that. So in the first round, we asked you a question about this. I'm not sure you gave us the answer we were looking for. Tell us more about your thoughts on whatever it is, right? And so we can dig a little deeper in that second round. So I want you to kind of be aware of that cultural noise, right? They're saying what they think is the appropriate thing to say because they think that's what's going to make you happy, as opposed to giving you a legitimate answer, a legitimate experience. That's another reason that we try to stick to those behavior-based questions. Tell us about a time. Tell us about a situation you were in. Again, just kind of reflecting back on what they've done in the past to get an idea as to how they would do that in our district, and then give us an idea as to whether we think that would be, workable for us as a board or not. Okay. And this kind of more applies to the second round, that last bullet point where it talks about redirecting the facts experience. That's interesting. That's fine. But tell us about a specific time when. During this first round, we're just going to kind of let them flail. So they've got the questions ahead of time. They've had an opportunity to prepare. If they don't answer the question that's in front of them, that's pretty much on them. You're going to get a little frustrated because you're like, well, we asked them a question about curriculum and they start talking about school finance. Well, that's usually because they don't have a lot of experience with school curriculum, but they've got a great story about school finance and they want to squeeze it in there wherever they can. Again, because they've got the questions ahead of time, hopefully that helps alleviate some of that. But it is something that unfortunately we do see sometimes. Instead of saying, well, I don't really have a lot of experience with curriculum, but this is how I would go about gaining that experience, or I make sure that I lean on the people that do have that experience. They don't want to admit that they don't know the answer to something, and so they try to obfuscate, and it never works. And as many times as I tell them, the board is going to see right through that. They ask you a question about curriculum, you said nothing about curriculum. You don't think anyone's going to be like, well, they didn't see anything about curriculum. Of course you are, right? Okay, next slide. I want you to be aware of your body language as you're going through this, remembering that when you nod, that can be taken as I hear you, I understand you, I agree with you, any number of ways. So do your best to just kind of, I know it's hard to not show any emotion during this, but we're going to try not to reinforce their answers or, hey, well, good, yeah. No, let's just kind of keep it nice and steady. Remembering that, this is an essential part of everyday conversation, and those listening responses from you should not be overly supportive, okay? All right, next slide. We want to go into these interviews with an open mind. I want you to listen objectively. Don't rush to break a silence. Ask the question. Give them an opportunity. Some of the individuals, especially with having the questions ahead of time, some of them will answer the question before you even finished asking them the question, right? Because they know it's coming. Some of them will take a thoughtful minute to reflect, and then we'll answer the question. Taking that thoughtful pause does not mean that they don't have an answer for you. It just means that they're collecting their thoughts and they're going to then answer the question for you. So just let them sit in that silence for a second. Let them get to you the answer that they're ready to give. And then, as we talked about, don't validate their answers. All right, next slide. Maintain good eye contact. Make sure that you remember that all of your notes are subject to FOIA. So anything that you write down in those interview guides is subject to FOIA, so keep it PG rated, please. I want you to listen for facts and actual events. And after the interview, I want you to take a second to note questions you'd have for future interviews. So after each round of interviews, on Tuesday night and Wednesday night, we will break down the candidate interviews. We'll talk about those things that we heard that we really liked. We'll talk about those things that we're still wondering about, okay? We are not going to have any kind of negative conversations around any of the applicants. As your mother all taught you, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. We have to remember that we're in a public meeting. Only one of these individuals is going to be our next superintendent. The rest of them have to go back to their current districts and their current jobs. So there's no need for us to throw them under the bus or anything else. If we're not happy with them, we're not happy with them. I have nothing to add on that applicant is perfectly acceptable, okay? And that's basically your way of saying, I really don't have anything to add. Whether it's negative, positive, whatever else, I'm done with this conversation, let's move on to the next. So just remembering that we are doing this all in an open session, and we want to be mindful of that when we talk about the candidates. Okay, next slide. First round, our goal is to create those like circumstances, follow the script. Second round, that's our opportunity to explore the strengths and weaknesses. Next slide. Okay, questions about the interview process? Questions about the interviews? Yeah.
Are we going in this order?
Which order?
The order, yeah, the way that they're set up here, because if there's gonna be a time limit, we could potentially only get to vision and interpersonal and not get to management and decision making.
So gotcha. All right. So these two pages here, we're going to go over these in just a second. So let's put a pin in that for just a second. Any other questions about the interview process before we get to the questions?
Is there any time in between the interviews, like 5 minutes to get?
Yeah, we'll have a little bit of time between the interviews. So we're going to schedule them on the hour. We know that we're going to start our meeting at 6 o'clock and that we're going to do the pledge and we're going to do roll call and we're going to do public comment. So that may push us a few minutes behind, and that's fine. If we start that interview at 6:10, then that one's going to go until 7:05. And so then we'll take a 5-10 minute break and then we'll start the next one. And so it may push us a little bit, but they'll start around 6, around 7, around 8 on each night. Okay? Yeah.
I see 31 questions here. Put a pin in it?
Yeah, we'll get to the questions in just a second. We haven't gotten to the questions yet. We'll get to the questions in just a
Bam.
second. Anything about the process? Yeah.
This probably isn't the appropriate time, but I wanted to make sure before we submit our numbers that we have time for a couple clarifying questions.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So with the questions, first and foremost, not looking to finalize questions tonight. So we're not going to wordsmith this. I'm just trying to get an idea of the types of questions that you'd like to ask. Then I will put together an interview guide for you all to review. So if we'll go over this tonight, I'll have something for you tomorrow. And then if I can have that back from you with input by close of business on Friday, so that on Monday I can start to work on getting it together for you all and have it ready to go so that I can get those questions out Monday afternoon to the Tuesday and then Tuesday afternoon to the Wednesday. So we generally start, so now we're looking at those 2 pages of interview questions. Our general starter in most of our interviews is, we've had the opportunity to review your resume. Please tell us how your background experience make you a good fit or match to be our next superintendent. This is not an opportunity for them to regurgitate their resume at you because you've been through all their materials. This is an opportunity for them to kind of tell you a little bit about why they want to be your next superintendent, okay? And I instruct them all on that. I tell them all, this is not an opportunity for you to regurgitate your resume. They looked at all your materials. Tell them something that wasn't in your materials. Tell them why you want to be the next superintendent in Saline. So this is their opportunity to do that. So anybody have any significant issues with using this as a starting question? We're good there? Okay. All right, now, looking through these questions in Vision 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I'll give you a few minutes to look through those. Anything in there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of jump out at you as something that you think you'd like to ask. As soon as you see something you'd like, go ahead and just shout out a number.
I'll shout out a number.
Okay?
5.
5. Okay.
Are we looking at about 3 questions per?
We're looking at vision right
section?
now, 2,
I
3,
know,
4,
but
5, and 6.
Are we looking to account, there's 4 sections, are we looking to pull about 3?
I will take
per-
as many from these as you want, and then I will start to kind of coalesce them into a workable guide for us.
Okay.
Three, okay?
So, Jason, you were saying you like number 5? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
number
okay.
5.
I didn't
Yep.
know if you were asking to have it taken out or you
Yep,
liked
no,
it
Jason has 5. Lauren has mentioned 3. Okay, Tim says 2. Anything else from vision?
I like 4. Gonna cover all the bases. I
That's
guess.
all right. That's all right.
I like 5.
Okay. All right. Interpersonal, 7 through 14, and then 15 on the next page. So go ahead and take a few minutes to look through those. And again, if you see something you like, shout it out. Okay.
10.
Okay.
I 11.
All right.
I also like 15. And just for clarification, I want to make sure we're not trying to divvy up all the questions, right? We're identifying the questions that we would like in
Exactly.
whole to ask, not
Exactly.
necessarily I want that one from that section.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Exactly. I'm just trying to get a feel for the types of questions you're looking for, because remember, we're only going to have time for about, like I said, about 14 to 15 of these, in addition to the opener and the closer. So 7. Okay.
I like a lot of them. I like 7, 8.
I know.
It's 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, 14.
I know. It's
15.
like it's like when I'm in a shoe store. I like those. I like those. I like those. Sorry, did I tell you too much about myself with that? Sorry. What's that? 10? Yeah, 10's on there. Yep. I got 7, 10, 11, and 13 right now. And 15.
14.
14? Okay. Yep, I've got 15.
I like 15 too. And you got 13?
I've got 7, 10, 11, 13, 14, and 15.
I see a lot of correlation between the 11 and 15.
There is. And so when I
pick
write
one
them,
or the other,
yep,
but
yep,
I can
absolutely.
go along with 15 as well, is what I want to say, since I threw out 11.
And 9. I like shopping.
Thank you. Okay, management decision making 16 through 24 there. Anything jump out at you there?
There's a typo. 19 and 20 are combined, but it's really one item, right?
The word processor got a little over aggressive with the numbers there.
So I'm going to throw 16, 22, and 24.
Okay.
I don't think it's fair that Jen just picked 3, but
I'm greedy.
I was going to say
18.
21.
21, okay. Okay. All right, 25 through 29. Oh, what do you got?
Please.
I'm sorry, Brad.
Shopping,
Didn't mean to jump.
browsing.
I like a lot of these.
I know you
is-
do.
The
I'm
teacher
sure.
in me loves this section.
I'm mostly big on 21.
Okay. Uh, 23. Got it.
My list is 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, and 24.
Uh-huh.
I love this section.
Brad likes shopping too.
Gotcha. Okay,
I'll try to be more efficient on the others.
that's okay. All right, professional background, 25 through 29.
26, please.
26?
I
Really?
have 3 again.
I'm going to say 28 before Jen picks her 3.
28?
I
Okay.
agree with 28. I picked 25 and 29 as well.
Okay. All right, does anyone like 27?
No, but I like 26.
All right.
Brad probably does. Maybe Tim.
Doing right now, yes.
Tim
27.
and Brad are going to like that one.
All right. So with our closer, there's basically two ways you can go with the closer. So you can either provide them an opportunity to ask questions of the board, or you can provide them an opportunity to kind of make a closing statement. Do you have a preference one way or the other? Would you like them to ask a question of the board? Would you like them to give a closing statement?
Will you be asking them to prepare one based on what we say, or will they be coming with a closing statement?
Well, they'll have the questions ahead of time, so they'll know.
They will, okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have a preference for closing statement because it shows a little bit of their personality.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like closing statement as well.
Okay.
I concur with that, and then also I think if there was someone we were really interested in, then second interview could do their questions.
That is generally how most boards go about it, yeah. So consensus on closing statement? Okay. All right, so as I said, I will gather the rosebuds. Well, I will gather the questions here, and I will put together an interview guide. I'll get that all to you sometime either tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, yeah, sometime tomorrow, and then you can take a look at those and then get back to me by Friday. Okay. I have a spreadsheet in front of me here with the numbers of the candidates, and then also your names across the top so I can keep track of your numbers. So all I ask of you is just to, kind of be patient with me, give me a number, let me enter it on my spreadsheet, and then I will ask you for your next, and then I will repeat back to you at the end the numbers that you've given me. Then we'll tabulate, see where we are, and we'll go from there, okay? You had some clarifying questions that you wanted to ask before we got into this.
I did.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So the first one is, can you explain the rationale between your kind of bucket 1 and bucket 2?
Yeah, so bucket 1 is generally those candidates that most closely matched what you as a board, community, staff said you were looking for when we think about the selection criteria that you set. And then you also, when I sent you that information, I sent you a rubric that I put together, and the rubric kind of highlighted. So, if they had had a master's degree, they got a point. If they had a PhD and EDD, then they got another point. So I used that rubric to help me kind of, as well. And then also things that I had either discovered during my reviewing of the candidates, or things that I know about those candidates based on the fact that they've been in other searches, either searches that I've done or searches that some of my consultants have done. And so while you may think, looking at some of the candidates in the bottom tier, that maybe they met a lot of the requirements that we had, the reason they're in the bottom tier is because there's probably some information that I came across that led me to believe that maybe that's not somebody that you would want to bring in front of your community and staff for consideration, or just didn't quite rise to the level of the other candidates in level 1. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
My second question was around conflict of interest. We have 25 candidates in front of us. Have any of them disclosed any potential conflict of interest
Not
to
that I'm
you?
aware of, no.
Or has the board or any other staff members, including central administration, presented any possible conflict of interest for people they might know
Sure.
have applied?
Not with any of the candidates that are in front of you, no.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then I had a question about general leadership style, but I don't want to deflect from the prioritization that everyone's going to submit. So is the process that we'll kind of throw it out, you'll see the numbers that we have, and then you can give some personal anecdotes about individuals? I'm just curious.
So what I'd like to see once we get the numbers done, if we're pretty clear on the candidates that we've all kind of coalesced around, then we can have a little bit of discussion, but there won't be a need to have a lot of discussion because you pretty much all decided, well, I mean, these are the candidates that we like, or that we'd like to learn more about. Because we're trying to do our best to guarantee the anonymity of the candidates at this point, I'm kind of reluctant to have a very deep discussion on a lot of the candidates, just because I want to make sure that I or any of you don't inadvertently say something that I'm just like, oh wait, I know exactly who they're talking about, right? And so we just want to kind of keep it as tight to the vest as we can when we're in this open session. Okay. Any other clarifying questions?
Give them an order of preference.
No. Just give me your numbers.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, so I'm just gonna go in the order that I have it here, and I'm not even sure where I got this order, but it is what I have. So I'm going to start with, Lauren.
54, 71,
Okay, what? 54, got it. 71, okay.
61, 30, 53, 62,
All right, 53, 62,
uh-huh,
okay,
and 57.
and 57. Okay, let me read them back to you. I've got 71, 53, 62, 61, 54, 30, and 57. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is 7. Okay. Jennifer.
I'll go, and these are not in any particular order. 34,
Okay.
50.
34. 1 second.
Yep.
34. Okay.
54,
54. Okay.
13,
Okay.
30,
30. Okay.
72,
Okay.
61,
Okay.
and 4.
And 4. All right, let me read these back to you. I have 72, 61, 54, 30, 13, 4, and 34.
That's correct.
Okay. Michael.
Sir, start with 29,
29. Okay.
53,
53,
54,
54,
61,
61. 1 second. Okay.
71,
Okay.
and 72. I stopped at 6.
Okay. Austin. There we go. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let me read yours back to you.
Yes, please.
71, 53, 72, 61, 54, 29.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay. Tim. 54.
54, 61,
61,
30,
30,
57,
57. 1 second. Okay.
72,
72. Okay.
and 62.
62. Come on. All right, let me read them back to you. I've got 72, 62, 61, 54, 30, 57. Is that correct? Okay. Brad.
54,
54.
61,
All right, 1 second, 1 second. 54, 61.
61, yes, sir.
Okay.
13,
13. Okay.
57,
57. Okay.
62, and that's my list.
Is that it? All right. 62, 61, 54, 13, 57. 62, 61, 54, 13, 57. Yep. Okay. Jason.
61,
61. Okay.
57,
57. Okay.
54,
Okay.
30,
Okay.
And 72.
All right, 72, 61, 54, 30, 57.
Correct.
Okay. And last but not least, Darcy.
I went a little high. I have 8. I have 71,
Okay.
53, 62,
62,
61, 59, 54, 30, and 57.
Thank you for going in order. Okay. 71, 53, 62, 61, 59, 54, 30, and 57. Correct? Okay. So let me do a quick tabulation here, please. Okay. So I have 6 applicants that received a majority of board votes. Okay? So generally speaking, when I see that we have 6 applicants that have received a majority of the board votes, then my suggestion would be to bring those 6 back. I'll read those numbers to you right now. Okay? I've got 61, 54, 30, 57, 72, 62. Those 6 all received 4 or more votes. Yeah, sure, no problem. 61, 54, 30, 57, 72, 62. Correct. So those 6 individuals all got a majority of board votes, 4 or more votes. Yeah.
Apparently, it's very busy for superintendent hiring season. Are we going to shoot for a couple of more on the off chance that any of these have accepted positions elsewhere in the meantime?
So that is a possibility. My inclination would be to say that we stick with the candidates that have received a majority of board votes. Even if 1 or 2 decline interviews, you've still got, 4 or 5 to interview. We have, beyond those first 6, we do have 2 individuals that received 3 votes, and then 1 individual that received 2, and then the rest we've got 4 that all received 1. 71 and 53. '71 and 53.
Can you tell us the 2 votes?
The 2 vote was 13. Like I said, I've got 6 applicants here that got a majority of board votes. That's usually right around the number that we're looking for. And we tend to stick with those applicants that have gotten a majority of board votes. That's how we kind of do things as a board, majority rules. So if someone has...
I would love a few minutes to just reflect
Absolutely.
upon these, so I want to make sure.
I just feel like if only 4 people are coming, 2 say they're not interested or not coming,
Well, and I guess perhaps I did not understand the process, but I would have, perhaps I should only have voted for 7, and that would change the results. I would really like to advocate for number 71 to add to the mix.
I'd like. Right, but
No.
it received 3. I would like to reread the ones that received 3 votes and 2 votes.
I'm so sorry. I
Sure.
have them.
3
71
votes
did not.
were 71 and 53. 2
Yeah.
votes was 13.
Yeah, I'm going to just take a few minutes because I want to read those.
And again, I'm sorry, I know you've read this a lot of times, but could
Yeah.
you do the 6 again?
Yeah, no problem. 61, 54, 30, 57, 72, 62.
Both Brad and Brad, you voted for 4 or 5? 5. And I think I voted for 5 or 6. I voted for 5. Brad voted for 5. I voted for 5 or. I do have 71 on my list, but I reduced my list because I wanted to limit it.
Sure.
So I'm not changing a vote. I would have voted 71, and I do agree with Darcy that we may have conflicts with, 2 or 3 of these choices might have accepted positions or decided to retain their current position. So if it's permitted, I would add 71 to my list.
Okay.
Because it is on my list, and I can prove it. It's right here, Jay. It's on
Oh,
my list.
I believe you, Jason.
So.
I believe you. So what I think I would recommend is
Actually,
what's that?
this is funny. It's also the one that I was thinking about. So in full disclosure, you're not the only one. So 71 has some appeal to me as well.
For what it's worth, I really like 71.
I think we should add something. I was running on the philosophy that Darcy had mentioned when she said maybe she should have voted for fewer, but that's what I was going for. But realistically, I probably should have voted for.
So then what I would recommend then is if someone would like to, I mean, we don't necessarily have to formalize it with a motion, but if we'd like to add 71, then if someone would like to make a motion to bring forth the following numbers. Okay, are you ready?
I'm actually still reading. Hang on, I just finished reading 71.
Okay.
I wanted to go and look at this other one. I wanted to go look at 53 because that was the other one that had the 3 votes. Did anyone else want to add number 53 since that was the one with 3 votes?
So 71 and 53 were probably among my favorites, which is why I groaned when they got 3. But I feel like I can't be too greedy, and we've already gotten 71.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to include more than exclude, I guess, at this point.
I wish we could discuss a little, because there were some things, but since we can't.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I had thrown out, and I realized in the tabulation that this only had 1 vote, but I threw out number 34 because of several different reasons. Again, not breaking confidentiality, but I didn't know if there was any appetite there because it only got 1, but I just wanted to double check.
You say 34?
Yeah.
I can tell you that 34 has recently accepted a superintendency.
Okay, I am not surprised. All right, thank you.
Sure. And give me a half a second, because I haven't looked yet at I've just got the numbers here. I haven't looked at the names corresponding to the numbers yet, so give me a half a second to take a look at the numbers and see the names and see if anything.
In case somebody else, yeah.
See if anything jumps to
in light of that information, as you do that, just to talk to the table, I would then be in favor of adding 71 and 53. Because 34 was the only one I had a question about additionally. And those were the two on the cusp.
I would not object to adding 53.
71 is no longer on the cusp, by the way. And you're saying, Jason, what number?
I would not object to adding 53. 53 was on one of my 8 lists of how I broke candidates down. Or, I'm sorry, more than one of my 8 lists. So I wouldn't object to that, adding 53.
What we're looking at is 8 candidates
The only
coming.
thing I would say is this, and it's fine with me if we do this, but then I'm thinking about fatigue, interview fatigue, and some of those kinds of things, and I want to be at my absolute best for every single one of these applicants. And so if we go to 8, that's 4 hours plus time in between, all of that. I'm willing to do the work. I just want us to realize that, like, that is a big ask to go to 8.
Would it be possible to, since we originally had 6, would it be possible to extend the invitations to 6 with a timeline and then take 71 and 53 if we have rejections?
Or I'm even proposing a third. Could we add I know schedules are funny, a third night of interviews?
Not next week. Not for me, anyway.
I think we either do 6 or 7 tops.
I still like the idea of sticking with 6 and figuring out which 6 we want. And obviously, if one of the 6 can't make it, we would have a fallback, correct?
We have 2 others we could reach out to.
I just want another minute now to review everything. It's important work. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can tell you that none of the individuals that you've selected have accepted other positions that I'm aware of. I can tell you that some of them are in other searches. I believe one is even interviewing tonight. But other than that, as far as I know, the rest are available. Like I said, the only one someone had mentioned, what was it? Well, I can't remember the number now, but 34. Yeah, I do know that 34 did accept the position.
I mean, I would pull my vote from 62 if we needed to decrease.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
There's one of the candidates that I'm seeing that was not in your top tier.
Okay.
And you had said to us that there might be information you knew.
Sure.
If we had that information, perhaps you would not want,
Sure.
we would no longer want that person in our top tier
are
because
we
we're leaving behind
talking-
some people. Yeah.
So.
I don't
Sure. What I will say is that if we look at job previous to their current employment, their current job, was a short-lived stint and was not a very successful stint. So even though they technically have experience in the role, their experience in the role was not all that successful. And the fact that they went from that role to their next role kind of gives me a little bit of pause. So that is one of the reasons that I was just kind of definitely on the fence. But I think ultimately some of the applicants in the top tier shined a little brighter.
Yeah, I thought that particular candidate did a nice job of addressing that. Explained that.
Sure.
Well, and considering their long-term experience was in a larger district.
Sure.
You know, that might translate to superintendency
Very well could.
here.
I mostly just wanted to make sure there was nothing like.
No.
Again?
No.
So I'm sorry. So 57 and 62, I did not have on my list. And so my specific question and follow-up to Lauren's, there is no hesitation with 57 then? Because that was a no for me.
No hesitation as far as, it was more based on job experience than anything else. So there was nothing untoward or anything along those lines.
Okay, and what about number 62? Because that was also one that
62.
I did not have that one.
Nothing as far as I know on 62.
Okay, thank you.
So,
So the question now is what we have too clearly at the rank of first rank and, sorry, we have 5 clear applicants to bring in. And we
6.
have 5 is what I got, and then 3 that were not so, that are sort of tied, correct?
no, we've got 6 that got a majority.
But what were could you give us maybe the numbers as we went along? Like, for example, I'm pretty sure 54 was unanimous.
Yes.
Yes.
7 for 61. 7 for 54. 5.
Can you slip, please?
Yeah, sure. 7 for 61. 7 for 54. 5 for 30. 5 for 57. 4 for 72. 4 for 62. 3 for 71. 3 for 53.
Well, hold on. 2 of us have said that we would now include 71, correct?
Yeah, that's
So
what's
that is a
missing in my
5
numbers.
now. Am I
Okay.
correct?
Yeah, I got 5 for 71. That's why I'm saying we have 5 in.
All right, so I'm adding a vote from Jason and a vote from Brad on 71.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I guess maybe I'd propose that we debate 72 and 62 as our 4 vote.
Well, and 53 if you want to, because they also, that person also has
Did we?
4.
Jay, didn't I?
I only had 3.
Didn't I have a vote for 72? Because I have a different count for 72. I have 5
we
votes
wanna
for
just
72.
redo
I have
our-
4 votes for 72. I have
Right.
Jason for 72. I have Tim for 72. I have Michael for 72. And I have Jennifer for 72.
Correct. And are you saying, yes, you wanted 72 as well?
No, what I'm
Okay,
saying,
that's
what
all
I'm
we need.
saying is that, like, if we're unanimous on 61, 54, and even like our 5 votes on 30 and 57 and 71, I guess what I was trying to target us on is if we're trying to keep the 6 interviews, and I actually think that is what we should do, then maybe we just debate those 2 numbers, 72 and 62.
And
That
53.
could make our work a little easier.
Well, I would withdraw my vote for 71 then. Because I voted for 72. Well,
I know, I'm not
I
trying to be, okay.
I understand, but
I would not withdraw my vote for 71, now that I've looked and thought about it again.
Well, that would give us 4 at 5
Correct.
votes.
So now we got it. All right, so now we're down to 3 people, 71, 72.
yeah, I don't want to overly complicate it, but
I would really just suggest we do 7. I know that makes for one late night, and as someone who, you know, as a job that is engaging the entire day, sleep is very important to me, but so is this. And
Also, in looking at the diversity of experiences, I just think that having 7 gives us a lot of diversity of experience. I don't
Okay.
know.
So just to make sure that I've got it here. So the 7 that I have, 61, 54, 30, 57, 71, 72, 62. So that is 7 with majority of votes. So if that's where we're headed, then if someone would like to make a motion to ask those 7 in for interviews.
I will make a motion.
Beg your pardon, Brad?
So I'm just wondering, how do we break it up then? Do we do?
My preference would be 4 on Tuesday and 3 on Wednesday.
Okay.
That gives us the last hour to discuss.
Yeah. The question, though, then becomes whether we start at 5 or we stick with 6 and then tack 1 on at 9.
I'm just looking at our technician. I thought we were live streaming the big interviews.
It is hard with office jobs and kids to be here at 5. For some of us.
Yeah, that's 5:30. Can we do 5:30?
I thought the plan was that we were having dinner at 5, so it was kind of a soft start. Am I not?
I wasn't going to be able to do dinner.
Okay, so now what are we doing? I'm sorry.
Well, that's what I'm asking. If we're gonna tack an interview on to Wednesday night, we either need to make it earlier than 6, or we need to make it after 8.
Let's compromise and go 5:30.
5:30.
For
Okay,
both?
Just for Tuesday. Dinner's still at 5. And we'll start the first interview at 5:30. Does 5:30 work for everybody? Everyone will be here, can be here for 5:30 interview?
That's Wednesday?
Tuesday.
And 6 o'clock the other night?
And 6 o'clock on Wednesday night. Okay?
Could I just, I do need to clarify. I was under the impression that we were going to be able to live stream those ones, but not the final interviews.
Tuesday and Wednesday, we were already booked. So I will be here Tuesday to record it, but then we can't record it, we can't do it.
But we can't live stream on those 2 nights. All right. Record and post as soon as we can.
So our public will not see them in real time?
Correct. Correct.
Are we gathering?
They'll get them the next morning. When I come in, they will go up on the YouTube channel that day.
I have to tell you that.
I was already booked.
We've had discussions about this
Is there
behind the
another
scenes.
option?
We've had discussions. The option is to record. We had discussions about this behind the scenes. Our license only allows us to live stream one feed on the community channel, and we're booked those nights. So people
I have
wanting to
reservations
find
about
it,
that. Okay.
people who are interested in following along will be able to follow along asynchronously the next day.
And then will the feedback opportunities be during round 1 and round 2? Because I remember last time getting the feedback from the public was important. How does that work?
Yeah, so after each of the interviews, there'll be an opportunity to fill out a public comment form. Then those forms will be copied and handed back to all of you. For your recordings, then they can reach out to you just like they would reach out to you for anything else. They can email you, they can text you, they can call you, they can give you their feedback in any way that they deem appropriate.
Could we offer that feedback form as an addendum onto the recording and let people still offer their thoughts that way?
I mean, the feedback form is fairly simple. It's the top half of the form is things that you heard that you liked, and the bottom half of the form is things that you heard that you weren't all that thrilled about. So, I mean, it's not really much of a...
I know, but I really like getting that feedback and reading
Oh, absolutely.
it and
Absolutely.
considering.
You could definitely provide an opportunity for feedback. I'm always reluctant to provide an opportunity for online feedback, only because anybody that has access to your website could then provide feedback. So if we limit it to, if they watch because they have opportunities to reach out to any of you via email, via text, via any of the normal ways that they would reach out to you with feedback, they can still do that after they watch the interviews. If they see something that they really want to make sure that you know, then they can reach out to you and find, or they can even email me.
I respectfully disagree with that just because of the inability of us to be able to do it in a live way for people. If we could, then I'd be all about them emailing me and giving me their feedback that way if they watched it on YouTube after the fact. But I've said my piece on it. That's how I feel about it.
I'll make a motion to invite those 7 to come for interviews.
Okay.
Let's just get the numbers first. And
61,
no, I've got those 2. Okay, 61,
54,
54,
30,
30,
57,
57,
71,
71,
72,
72,
62.
62. To interview and, exact dates to be determined. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Tim? Do we have any discussion before we vote? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Just making sure. All right, thank you.
Okay, next steps. So I will reach out to each of these individuals. As soon as I have confirmed from all 7 individuals that they are either willing to or not willing to accept an interview, I will put together a press release and get that out to staff so they can then release it. Once I have them established as, yes, we've accepted an interview, I will then send them a form to select interview slots. We're going to start at 5:30 on Tuesday, 6 o'clock on Wednesday. Once they have selected their interview slots, I will then create another press release with the interview slots, get that to staff to disperse. And then I will also, along with the interview slots, I will also release redacted resumes of all 7 applicants. And the only thing I'm just redacting identifying telephone numbers, addresses, email, things like that. Their name and all of their whatever else is on their resume will remain. And so then you'll have those redacted resumes that you can release on your website, released if anyone from the press would like to see redacted resumes, they'll have them as well. I will start background checks on each of those 7 individuals as well. I'm going to get the interview questions to you tomorrow to take a look at and approve that guide. I think that, and I will, once I get confirmation from the 7 that they've accepted interviews, I will then email the other applicants that did not get an interview. I will send them an email letting them know that the board has decided to not push you, not bring you forward in the process, et cetera.
Will you be informing us of the background check just in case that should happen to impact any of the choices?
Yes,
we
if
made
anything in the
7?
background check
Okay.
pops, I will let you know. In the background checks, I get speeding tickets in some of those. I don't generally let you know about the speeding tickets because that's really not impactful. And the background check does also include a social media check. And so if there's anything in the social media that I think is something that rises to the occasion, I can tell you right now that it's, again, very thorough. I had one applicant that retweeted the picture of one of their wrestlers, and they had, blood dripping down their face, and, way to go, and it tagged that as a violent image. And so it was a high school wrestler, blood on the face, but they still tagged it as a violent image. So I take a look at those, and again, if anything rises to the level of concern, I will definitely let you know. Okay? Any other questions? Think of anything between now and next week, let me know. Otherwise, I will keep you up to date. If I get confirmation from all 7 yet tonight, I will send your board president a text and let him know, and then he can let the rest of you know that we've got those 7 confirmed. And like I said, first thing tomorrow morning, I will get a press release as soon as I confirm from all 7, I'll get a press release to staff, and we can get that out. Okay?
Would the blood on the face thing be something that you would just let us know about, just so that if we start hearing, because if you can find it, then somebody else
Sure.
can find it. So I
If
don't
you-
like being caught unaware of
Sure.
things that are going to hit. I would rather just know, so I know.
If you'd like me to report back to you everything that AI flags in the social media search, I can certainly do that.
I mean, I think if it gets flagged, I have time. I mean, I already went through hours of all this. I just sort of like to know, because my guess is if you flagged it, somebody else is going to find it and message us about it after the fact and be like, why weren't you on top of things? So I'd like to have due diligence. I don't need to
Absolutely.
know about every parking ticket.
At that point, we would throw Jay under the bus without any hesitation, correct, Jay?
Correct.
I think your clarification, though, was that your system flagged it. It's not a violent image. It just so happened that your system flagged it.
The system flagged as a
And
violent image because it was somebody with blood on their face,
and
correct?
someone with
Right. There was another one
reasonable
that
okay.
someone went to a prohibition party. There was a picture of a plastic Tommy gun, and it identified that as a weapon, and so it flagged it as a post with a weapon in it. In fact, it has flagged even school mascots wielding, foam swords and things of that nature. So the AI, not perfect. It flags lots of things that most of us would probably consider
Would that be
fairly innocuous.
Sparty? Doesn't he have an axe or something?
Yeah.
Great. If there are no more questions, this is the point at which I say, I was just joking, Jay. We will never throw you under the bus. You've done
Oh,
you've done
thank you.
exceptional work so
I
far, and
appreciate
thank you
that.
for getting us this far in the process.
Yeah.
I know the rest of the next big steps after your heavy work is on our shoulders, and we appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? You know how to get a hold of me? Let me know. I'm going to go in the parking lot, make some phone calls. Okay?
Great.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
So administration/board updates. It looks like we're going to wrap up by 9 o'clock. I'm afraid I did not have that on my bingo card. It's all you, if you have anything.
I do. I have a couple, 3 updates actually. And the first is that I got a great article from Vice President Stebbin on the importance of durable skills as it relates to adjusting in an AI world. And I think this is really important because as we've adjusted our SAS Compass, our graduate profile, which are the durable skills, it's that we need to be doubling down on that, not shying away from that. So I think the timing's perfect on revamping and reassessing and re-implementing the SAS Compass, because these skills are going to be more important than ever to help our students have those employability skills that are going to stand the test of time when other skills are, going by the wayside. So I think that's really important. Second thing is, last night I was at the Superintendent Circle. This is a dinner for donors from the Foundation for Saline Area Schools. It was great. We've been doing this for years. And then Wally and Cindy from Max do an incredible job. I just want to thank them publicly for being such great supporters of the foundation and the school district. And it was great for Jackie and myself to go, and we presented on the state of the district and really did just honestly say that, even though I'm retiring, I'm feeling very, very good about the direction of the district, and it's in very capable hands with so many great staff, students, community supporters, Board of Education, and so it was a great night. And then finally, I just want to thank it's Admin Professionals Day tomorrow, and that's for all those support staff that help us do our jobs, including Betty and countless others in Liberty and all our buildings. We just want to thank them for their great work.
We'll start at Tim's end and work our way over to Jason's end, please, and thank you.
I was just going to mention the Bus Driver Appreciation Day. Thank you.
Alrighty. Yeah, shout out to bus drivers. I tell you, I don't take my kid to school too often, but when I do, I know that the bus is the safer option. So I appreciate the fact that our bus drivers keep our kids safe. And, what is it like? What we used to send to parents like in emails, like go yellow or whatever it was, but drive yellow or be yellow, whatever. Number 2, I want to thank everybody who is currently associated with and accompanying young people in Washington, D.C. My kid is there. He better be behaving himself. All right, Bryce. So, but I want to thank everybody who's associated with that trip and just those types of experiences in general for kids, right? Like those are above and beyond things that kids get to experience that are real life examples. So thank you for that. Number 3, real quickly, I just want to give a personal shout out, Washtenaw United being here tonight. I want to say proud of specifically Adam Winters, who did start up that program and who really believes in women's hockey and women's sports and wanted to provide that opportunity for women here. And I am so incredibly proud of you. He's leaving. He's no longer going to be, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but he's going to leave the coaching position and there's going to be someone else. So I just want him to know how much I acknowledge that for kids. And then the last thing is, I am a huge, huge fan, and I want to thank everybody associated with. Steve sent us the solar cost differential website, and I was totally geeking out, read about it and all that kind of thing. But there's a website where we are able to track how much energy we are recapturing and that kind of thing. And I have to admit, that gave me a lot of happiness with the bond, but also just happiness as a human being, and that we're conveying those things to the public. So thank you.
My next board notes have us standing in front of that dashboard, which is pretty cool.
Not much from me, just a big thank you to bus drivers who are up at an hour that I don't prefer to see. So thank you.
I just want to thank, first of all, I'll be attending the WISD budget presentation on Thursday and making a presentation to us. Feel free to join. It's virtual, just saying. If you want more information, I'm happy to share. I also want to thank Steve Lotch for being one of the folks in attendance at a panel discussion we had with some really interesting folks at EMU a few nights ago, and thanks for showing up and giving your support. We had 2 other district superintendents and 1 or 2 of my online students whom I'd never met before were in the audience, as well as almost my whole department. So thank you, Jennifer.
I wanted to also acknowledge Autism Awareness Month. I know a lot of you said something last board meeting, but I wasn't here, so thank you very much for that. I also wanted to send safe travel wishes to our 8th graders. The Washington, D.C. trip was crazy. I got to chaperone it. I loved it. I never thought I'd like that many hours on a bus. I did. Have the best time, be safe, listen to your chaperones and staff, please. And I am trying to stop by different events that I haven't typically seen in the past. I went to see some men's volleyball, which was very good. I highly recommend stopping by and seeing them. And I also know that we have a new girls varsity lacrosse coach, so I was able to stop by and see them all within the last 2 weeks. I was very sorry to miss the superintendent circle dinner last night. Clearly, I don't feel very well, but it's not lost on me that it's Steve's last one. And reflecting on talking about all these numbers and remembering when we did this and he was part of our process, I feel grateful that he has spent so many years in the school district and the last 4 as our superintendent. So thank you.
I will echo the thank you to bus drivers, and I'd also like to thank students who use OK to Say, because that can't always be easy to do, and I know it has been in use, and I think it's a great program, and I'd like to thank the students who speak up and use it.
I will go as quick as I can. Shout out to Community Ed because the bridge programs are fantastic. My youngest daughter is doing Bridge 4 this summer, already registered, so she's one of the 215. Of course, Bus Driver Appreciation Day. I think I mentioned that at our last meeting. The bus drivers are fantastic here. It is Public School Volunteer Week this week. So it is Public Schools Volunteer Week this week. So shout out to all of our volunteers that coach and mentor and everything. Just fantastic. And next week we have 2 pretty cool ones. We have School Principals Day next week, and we have School Lunch Hero Day next week. So our lunch staff, our support staff that handle all those lunches for our 4,800 kids or so. So thank you to all those folks.
Thank you very much, Board, for all your wonderful, warm, and uplifting comments. I'd like to entertain a motion to authorize the consent agenda as printed, please.
So move, Stebbin.
Stebbin, supported by?
Supported, Tim.
Wilson. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 7 opposed. Good, just checking. Items on the next agenda, Dr. Lotch.
All right, we have a scheduled report from special education. They'll give an annual update, and then the WIC budget
Right.
resolution.
Good. I see there are no public commenters out there. The next Board of Education meeting will be held on April 29th, 2025 at 6 p.m. That is our interview night. It's not our regular board meeting. At
5:30.
April 29th at 5:30 p.m. Right? Okay. Entertain a motion, please, to adjourn the regular board meeting of April 22nd at 8:50.
So moved, Tizities.
Support Berwick.
Thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. Good night.
Hold on a sec.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I can untap. They've all accepted positions.
No, but it didn't occur to me until after I started looking through the names again. You have 2 potential out-of-state candidates. So the question is, 1, are you open to reimbursement for travel? If not, for first round, would you be okay doing a Zoom with them instead? No, this is not them bringing it up. This is something I need to know, because if they ask me, well, you know, if I travel, is the district going to, generally speaking, second round, you definitely want to see them in person, and so usually districts will reimburse travel for second round. First round is kind of up to you as to whether you want to say you're on your own dime, or you can do it via Zoom. You can set a limit.
Before we continue on, Ben, I just want to make sure, are we still live and on? Thank you, we're still live, so
Yeah.
good, that's fine.
I guess I'd want to know, how does that impact, because we're recording it, can you record and then have a Zoom placed inside the recording?
Yeah, we can record the Zoom, and I can share the recording. We can either use the district Zoom, if you have a district Zoom, we can use the district Zoom, and then,
So we would just have multiple recordings people could watch?
We probably have to use the owl.
We're gonna, I had a quick procedural question. Since you came in just as we hit the hammer, let's just do a quick move to reopen the meeting, please, at 8:52.
So moved, Tizities?
I've got a whole bunch of people sitting here. I'm gonna write this down for Betty. Tizities and
Berwick.
Berwick, thank you. All in favor,
Yeah.
please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
yeah, I apologize. Like I said, as I started looking through the counts, I'm like, oh, wait a second, we've got some out-of-state here. I didn't get clarification on what your preference would be on
Right,
that front.
that's
so
great, good. We're still in
We're
the
still
meeting.
here. There you go.
What numbers, Jay?
I know, 30 is one.
Because my answer
I-
will be different depending, because if it's something we
believe-
have
I
major
believe
consensus
s-
on, then
I believe 61 and 30.
It is.
Or, no, wait, I'm sorry. It is? No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm sorry.
72 and 30.
okay. To be equitable, I would recommend that all are in person and that we reimburse for a coach ticket.
Are you making a motion?
Sure.
I'm fine with that.
I just
Okay.
don't want to put somebody at a disadvantage
Sure.
potentially.
Right, there's a motion, then, do you want me to draft it in my
That
head?
would be great.
Well, I'll let you do it too, although you're not feeling well, so let's just, I'd like to entertain a motion to cover the travel expenses.
Are we speaking just the airplane ticket or accommodations as well?
Well, travel is like, sure, accommodation, it would have to include a car as well.
Right, she just said the plane ticket.
Yeah, so entertain a motion to reimburse for 2 potential candidates, coach ticket, 1 night, reasonable local accommodation, and transportation to and from the airport.
I think we should just leave it at the plane ticket, because other people in Michigan might need a hotel room for
Oh,
coming
yeah,
back
that's
and
true.
forth. It just doesn't seem fair, like,
It sounds like
we're
we're
not
reimbursing airfare is what you're recommending?
I like
Just
that.
airfare?
It sort of just evens it out a little, and
Yeah, no, Lauren has a point that I'm not looking at where they all are coming from,
Sure.
but the potential is that somebody would want to come in, maybe.
I agree with that. It should be a coach ticket, but not, I think some of the other candidates would probably have to.
So yeah, so let's stick with, for
Okay.
first round, at least for first round, we'll stick with coach tickets. And then if we decide that we're gonna bring back somebody from out of state for second round, then we can talk about possibly extending that beyond just the airline ticket, if that's something you deem appropriate. All right, so if either of those 2 candidates, I will let them know that the board is willing to,
So I just, to clarify, did we say airfare and do we say accommodation?
No, just the airfare.
Just the airfare.
Coach airfare.
do you want to say airfare up until, only because I had a friend who got stuck here, and we were looking into layover, and it was like $1,000 one way if it's last minute. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I feel like we should put like a $500 limit on it.
you put a cap on it?
I fly almost every week, and the potential of this being over $500 is very, very large.
Yeah, I was just
Well,
gonna say
especially
that.
last
It's-
minute, you're looking at last minute tickets.
Yeah,
I was thinking,
we're
I was
within
thinking
7
750
days.
is what I was thinking. 750?
At least.
Yeah, I would actually go to, I mean, we're talking less than a 7-day notice, possibly.
Yeah.
So
Yep,
So what are you thinking?
I think we would have to go to 1,000.
I would agree.
Okay?
The $1,000 cap, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
Who made the second on that one?
That was, sorry, I thought we had 2.
Okay, thanks.
Just to clarify, that who made the motion?
Right. And then, and just to let you all know, I will let them know that the general process is to, send a copy of the invoice or the bill or whatever to district so that you can see that they spent however much they spent and then reimburse them appropriately, as opposed to them just saying, oh yeah, I spent $1,000. So I'll make sure that they understand that they have to provide proof of what they purchased so that you can reimburse them appropriately. All right, so coach air, $1,000 limit, first round, okay. So far, you're 2 for 2 on phone calls though, by the way, so 2 confirms. I will make the rest of these. Thank you, sorry about that.
If you want to stay in the building and make your calls, feel free.
I'm sorry, I was sitting on the bed of my truck, it's nice out there tonight.
Oh, great. Thank you. Let's reopen this let's reopen the motion to close. Jason moved and Darcy seconded, and now we're going to just change the time to 8:57. All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Hey. Thank you.